it's Em. Today we're going to talk about the HONJIN murders by Seishi Yokomizo. Finally, I've had this book in my stack for a while. I picked it up at the used bookstore. Someone at some point had said, hey, you like Japanese stuff and you like Sherlock Holmes. Why haven't you read these books? And I was like, well, because I'd never heard of them, but okay. And I found one at Half Price Books and picked it up. This is the first one, I believe, in the series. So this book was originally published in 1946 in Japan. So this is going on my translation square in my bingo. If I remember, I will insert an image of my bingo somewhere in this video. The story takes place, well, there's a frame story in which the author is talking about how he was evacuated to this village, and the village has this old murder mystery story. So he was evacuated. It's like 1946, 45 or 46 in the frame story, but the murder mystery took place in 1937. And a honjin is, well, it was an inn, like an upscale stopping place for nobles, samurais, noble families when they were traveling through the countryside. So the main family in this story, the Ishiyanagi, they are very proud of their heritage as having been the owners of a honjin that is now just their kind of family home, because honjin are kind of a thing of the past. But, ancestrally, they're very proud of their heritage, and they are kind of the wealthy landowners in the area of this village. The head of the family, Kinzo, is about to get married to a school teacher who doesn't quite live up to the standards of the family. There's been a lot of fussing and fighting about this marriage, but he is determined. And the night of the wedding, the bride and groom are murdered. So it goes from there. The uncle of the bride, Ginzo, he has a friend, somebody he's actually the patron of, this young man named Kosuke Kindaichi, who is the Sherlock Holmes type character in this, and this is like his first. This isn't his first case, but this is the first book that features him. I guess there is a series of books that feature him as a detective, and this is the first one. This is where we meet him. So he's, I think, in his 20s and disheveled, wears kind of old clothes that are a little bit worn and old-fashioned, too. And when he gets excited, he, scratches his head and his stutter, becomes pronounced. So he's kind of, in some ways, an anti-Sherlock Holmes in that he's very, restless energy and excitable, as opposed to the more, staid, chill. He does like to put on a bit of a show when he does his big reveal, which is very, Hercule Poirot to some extent, I think. Sherlock Holmes also, at times, did enjoy making a scene, as it were. But the story itself is good. The book is only 189 pages. So it goes pretty quickly. There are a lot of characters to keep track of. And in some cases, I'm sure the translation is fine. It's just kind of the way things are explained. I had to read a few things a couple times to make sure I was understanding what they were describing once we got to the solution. But there was definitely a number of twists and turns to the mystery, which I enjoyed, because there were a lot of interesting angles. If you read mysteries, you can tell what's going to be important and what's not. And there were definitely a couple things I picked up on very early that I was gratified to see were, true later. I don't know how I feel about the solution itself. Without spoiling anything, there's kind of a misogyny involved, which I guess is not unheard of or unsurprising given the way the family behaves and the way it thinks of itself, the time period, and the sort of values system involved. So, yeah, there's that. But I mean, I gave it 5 stars because I did really enjoy it. And for the length that it is, I'd probably read more of these. And that says something good about it, I think. I'm not in the hurry to read all of them, but if I go to the used bookstore and find more of them, I would probably pick them up. Like, this will stay on my shelf with my Agatha Christie's and stuff. I'm not gonna, like, rehome it or unhaul it or whatever we call it now. This is a very Japanese story. There's a koto involved, which is a stringed instrument. So people who aren't as familiar might need to look some things up. I even had to look up, I think, something that someone was wearing. I was like, I think I know what that is, but I'm going to look it up just to be sure that I'm picturing it right. It probably doesn't matter, but I like to have a very clear picture when I'm reading something, so They do a good job of describing the grounds, but again, it can get a little confusing. Luckily, at one point in here, there is a diagram of the murder scene, so that is very helpful. I kind of wish there had also been a diagram of the whole grounds, because the murder takes place in an annex building, and there's a lot more to the family property, and I almost wish I'd had that too. But it's not like a big deal. Oh, my crows are here. They're ready for breakfast. They're so funny. They will fly by the window to see if I'm in here. And if I am, they'll make sure that I see them or hear them. So I come out and throw them peanuts. I love my crows. I do. I love all my birds, but my crows are... Sorry, tangent. Anyway, yes, I gave it 5 stars. I mean, it's probably not it's not perfect. But again, for as quick a read as it is, I didn't have to invest a lot of time in it. And even though the solution wasn't like my favorite thing, and there were some quirks about Kosuke, the detective guy, that were a little, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this guy. I don't know. But I mean, I feel like I could warm to him, or that at some point he could become endearing with a few more stories. This one has, some false positives in the way it's set up, but I, again, probably by midpoint had figured out a couple key things that were brought up in the solution. I guess trigger warning, because a kitten dies, not on page, but there is a dead kitten involved, and it ends up being a little bit key to the story. So it is brought up frequently. If you have trouble with animal deaths, be aware of that, I guess. So next, I have a couple library books to look at. One of them is a 14-day, so I need to get started on it and get through it, ideally. Our library doesn't have fines anymore, but if you keep a book that's overdue, you're not allowed to check out anything else until you turn it in. So I want to make sure I get my books turned in so I can get more books. But yeah, if you've read any of these, let me know what you thought, which ones were your favorites. Do I need to read them in order? If you happen to know, is it best to read them in order? Because sometimes later volumes will refer back to some other story, right? And you're like, oh, I don't have a point of reference for that, So this one referred to mostly old other mystery novels, kind of like in Wake Up Dead Man, where they keep talking about the Hollow Man. This one refers to well, several, but like specifically to a couple of mystery novels that correlate to what's happening in this story. So having some kind of knowledge of old mystery books can be helpful for that, I guess, or at least give you context or make it like more, you're like, oh, I know what they're talking about versus I don't know what that means. I don't know what that book is. I don't know anything about it. So, okay, enough rambling. But again, if you've read any of these, let me know your thoughts, and until next time, take care.